Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nosacapital coming to you on a rather cold, rainy, and windy evening from the Southern Hemisphere. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while. Or as you Americans would like to say, it's been a minute, but I would say it's been a while that I have done one of these, and I think it's about time. We also know that the markets itself have been interesting to say the least, particularly from the 10th of October. But that's going to be some of the things that we're going to be discussing today. I hate doing it, you know that. But subscribe to the channel, please. Like the video. It helps. It helps me. It helps the video get traction, and it helps me bring in, more content to you. Anyway, let's get started. Let's not waste any time. And we're going to start out with token unlocks. Now, you may find that where you like to go is a bit different in terms of the kind of what you see as token unlocks. But here, just some Kato, Sapien, Cedaro, there's zero there, OG Hyper, as you can see. Nothing too much to talk about, but look, some of them are, for instance, you see like Ethereum is always, it seems to be every week there's something being let go. It's in about another 13 days time before we see that. Nothing too dramatic here in terms of, except in terms of what's going on, except you are invested in one of these coins. So, next, let's move over to the crypto market overview. Bitcoin standing at over 109,000. Ethereum just back over 4,000. And BNB 1,129 at the moment. We should be looking at the charts in a minute. Fear and greed down to 27. Market cap at the current time $3.7 trillion on volume of 124.78 billion. As you can see, that we've been trending downwards in recent, particularly in the last, from about October 10th or so, trending downwards. Okay, crypto ETFs net flows, as you can see, it's a negative net flow in the last couple of days. Now, we're going to have to take this more seriously because of what's going on within the ETF market. I'm sure you've seen yourself about what's going on there and why we have to sort of pay attention, because just like the spot market, the perpetual markets and other derivative markets, this also has begins to affect the price based on how much the treasuries of many of these companies decide to put back onto the market. And as we can see, as of October 17, we've got $598,900,000 out back onto the market. As you can see, and that's total, by the way, of which 366,600,000 are to do with Bitcoin and 232,300,000 for Ethereum, which is why it gives us this total, as we can see. Dominance at the moment, 58.8 for Bitcoin, 12.8, others 28.5. Open interest there, as you can see, perpetuals 966.26 billion, which has been increasing over time. And of course, 3.43 billion in terms of the futures. Spot market, let's have a look very quickly. Total 3.7 trillion in terms of the market cap, which you can see here. Spot volume overall has been onto the upside. And I think that's just about as interesting as that gets. Derivative markets, another quick look. We've looked at the open interest just now, and of course the perpetuals, as you can see, all to the upside, albeit slowly, of course, but to the upside nonetheless. Number of cryptocurrencies, total number of cryptos tracked 25.52 million. A lot of it is complete rubbish, as we know, but then again, as you always know, I always tell you, invest in quality. Bitcoin treasuries, we're going to have to pay attention. Or as some people have called, now you know that there's a new title for some of these treasuries as a whole called digital asset treasuries. So please pay attention. Bitcoin holdings, as you can see from several of the companies there, countries breakdown: United States the highest, followed by Japan, China, France, and others 4.2%, as you can see there. And here are the treasuries. Strategy number 1, Mara Holdings 2, XXI, Meta Planet, Bitcoin Standard Treasury Company, Bullish, Riot Platforms, Trump Media and Technology Group. The Trumps have made some, DJT have made some money. Sometimes I wonder whether those guys are actually, I can't prove it, no, I'm even going to try, but sometimes one wonders, are these guys operating with inside information? Many people believe so. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I can't prove it, and I'm not even going to try. But there you have it. You've also got Tesla, 1.25 billion, Coinbase Global 1.28 billion, CleanSpark 1.41 billion, and the list goes on. Of course, Strategy with the 69.84 billion, the highest so far, dwarfing Mara and the rest of them. Fear and Greed Index, we've seen that at 27. It's fear, but not extreme fear yet. Anything under 25 becomes extreme fear. Altcoin season, 25. So we're just more or less back into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin showed the most amount of strength with the fall of the crypto market. As you know, some cryptos actually fell to zero, and that was a flash crash, and there's been some big time investigation. I will leave you to follow people who are actually investigating this stuff. I'm not investigating it, but this is a combination of some of the indicators, the pure multiple. I think I have a better chart to show you for that in terms of Bitcoin, because this is mostly to do with Bitcoin. And the top indicators, as you can see here, and nothing to panic about when it comes to the price of Bitcoin and what's going to be happening there. So just slightly, it's not undervalued, it's not overvalued yet, just in the neutral zone here for the pure multiple at 1.16. So didn't cross that or that in terms of the pi cycle top. One of the things I follow, one of the most accurate, and I follow that very closely. The rainbow is still where it is today, so nothing to panic about at the moment. Okay. One thing I've been looking at, a spot taker, and this is where some of the retail guys are buying and selling. I believe that most of the buying is taking place with the institutions. I think that they're stacking, I suspect anyway, but only time will tell. Finally, this the bull market peak indicators. As you can see, no hit at the moment. Nothing to panic about when it comes to Bitcoin. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin to look at the charts. Let's not waste any time. So we're going to start off with Binance, as we can see here. Current price at Binance is $1,128. Let's see. I think let's add our smart money there, and as we can see, it's mostly areas of support, which is here. No areas of a bigger area of demand, no areas of supply. These are the areas, buying areas, as you can see. And this long candle that you see here, that was October 10th when we had that massive fall, and it came to this particular area, as we can see here. Now, I suspect that we may have another fall, but I think to this area here to about just under 1,000, because we are not showing that much volume momentum down here. As we can see, it's not that much. I suspect that Binance will go from strength to strength, as it has been in recent times, where everybody has been taking a massive fall. It increased in price and is going quite strongly. Further areas of support are down to about $700, but it's going to take one hell of a fall. It's going to be some kind of anomaly to bring it down to about $700. I can't see it going back to that area. I think about $1,000 will be just about as far as it goes. any further falls. So let's look at Bitcoin a little bit more interesting. Let's just put the smart money thing back on. I forgot to put that one earlier. And as we can see, again, now Bitcoin's a bit more interesting because of the simply because of what has happened on Friday the 10th. Now, on that particular day, as we can see here, let's get rid of these bubbles for a moment. Let's just hide them so we can see. So you can see here, as we can see there. Now, if you look at this again with our areas of demand and supply, we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of demand and a lot of confluence here. If anything happens, I suspect, if you look at this area here, we're looking at 95. I suspect that we're not going to go below $100,000. It's pretty much going to hold its own. I've put here at about 102, just to say 102,000 something here, just to be sure that, just to keep an eye on it, just to see how far it could fall before I start paying attention, because I'm looking at minimum of 100,000, as I've said before. I've said that because we're probably not going to see another anything less than 100,000 anytime soon, and I doubt that very much. If this goes back up, we're never going to see another 100,000. So if it comes into this area, it's going to be a very good buying area. 100,000, anything between about 95 to 100,000, if that. I doubt if we're ever going to see 95, but let's just see what happens. As I said, I doubt that very much. In terms of the activity, if we come down to the 15-minute, I just wanted to show this. And as you can see, there's a lot of activity there. And as you can see, look at the volume momentum. Look at it down here. See how flat it is. And then we've got some activity. But even this momentum at the moment, this volume momentum does not encourage me at all. I'm not encouraged. I think what you see here with the movements are areas of whereby the market makers are taking out the cumulative short liquidation areas. I think we should, leverage areas. I think we could have a quick look at that in terms of the heat map. And as we can see, it's just taking out this area here, which is about 108. It might head up to about, let's see, maybe here. At 45, there's a 45 minutes, 110, just over 110. It might head up there before coming down to take out 1, 2, and maybe this area here, which has a massive 53.21 at 106. So do not be surprised if we go up to about 110 in terms of the price, and then we come back down and take out that position. So do not be surprised about that. I think, as I said, I think that the market makers are just kind of taking people out. The guys with some heavy liquidation. Some people put heavy, I keep saying liquidation. Well, it is liquidation, but heavy leverage is what I meant to say in terms of people doing there. Okay, let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum went up back to just over 4,000 area. It's sort of just about holding its own. Let's see. Let's do that. And let's have a look at area. So you can see this area here, an area of demand, and then there's some areas of supply here. Which means that we could get back up to this area and fall. Let's see if there is something. Let's look if there's something dramatic might happen when it comes to the Ethereum liquidation, because I strongly believe. Wow, look at that. Look at these areas here. Let me show. Let's go back to the liquidation map, and you see what I'm talking about. Let's go to Ethereum. Look at that. Do you see the skew? It's skewed here. This is where the long leverage is. We've got leverage going up to about 1.21, so roughly 1.3 billion. I'm looking at it at this area here at about 3,810, almost 3,811, to this area here where we've got at 4,071. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But as you can see, it's been skewed towards the longs here. This is where the longs are, and this is where the shorts are here. So it's most likely that market makers are going to take this situation. They're going to take them out in this area here. We've seen that the evidence of that is what you saw just now in the heat map. And the heat map definitely shows you the possibilities. Look at these areas here. There. All these areas here. Do not be surprised to find the price of Ethereum coming all the way down to about, let's say, 3,890. Maybe even a little bit lower. Maybe as low as if 3,870, something like that. Do not be surprised if you see that, because this is where you know that this is what the market makers are doing. You've got to pay attention to what the market makers are doing now, because that's really your trade, particularly if you're a perp trader. You got to look at what's going on with the levels of leverage and trade accordingly. And it's going to be difficult for some people, but I think that's what you're going to have to do if you're going to make any money in this particular market. I think you should play some kind of a hedge. What I mean is that you should, if you ask me, play the derivatives markets. You got your spot. Hold on to your spot. Play the derivatives market as if you are hedging those bets. So even if the market's coming down, you're making money, even though you got your spot. The value of your spot is coming down. I mean, at least its market cap is coming down. That's your market cap I'm talking about. Depending on the number of Ethereum coins you've got. But at the same time, you're making that money by trading the perps or any other derivative, and you trade it according to what you see. I would think that you should pay some attention to what they're doing. Now, if the price of Ethereum comes down to about 3,005, between 3,004 and 3,005, that'll be a very good buy. And you can buy to accumulate and to sell at about 4,007 over time. I think that's how you should play it. That's where some of the good stuff, that's where you can actually get it. Because if you can get it at about 3,005, anything under $4,000 really, but about 3,005, lucky you. Okay, Solana. Let's do this again. Let's see. We're gonna smart money and there. Let's see, because that gives us the areas of demand and supply. As you can see, this big demand here, demand there, and one area of supply and an area of supply up here, which is not surprising. Now, Solana. Look at that liquidity. Look at that areas of liquidity right there. All this orange. Remember what I told you. The green areas are areas of support. The orange areas are areas of resistance. I suspect that this over time is going to break. Currently we're at 191.15. It was a little bit higher than that earlier in the day. But I suspect that we are going to break that point again and go even higher. Despite all this liquidity. Look at all that. Look at all this selling. This is all selling volume. But it hasn't had a major follow through. If we go down to, let's say, the 15 minute, let's have a look at there. Because there's one big area of. Oops. I didn't intend to do that. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Oops. So, I don't think that's the right template. Okay, I'll just leave it on Nosa. Let's just leave it and let's get this done, over and done with, so we can see. My apologies for that. That was not what I intended to do. But anyway, you can see there's a great big dollop here of selling volume here. here is an area of demand, so we might find ourselves trading here. But if we switch over, if we come over here, we can see there's not much excitement here. If you look at all this kind of small bits of leverage, not much at all to talk about. So I'm wondering, I mean, the only area, major area is, I think, at about 181. All the others are just small areas of leverage. So it's, and there's a tiny muscle of at 193. Maybe to get about 193 to take out this leverage here, but only time will tell. I doubt that. I think we could see another fall, because if we look here, it's quite. Let's go down to the 5 minute. Let's have a look at what's at the 5 minute. Look at that. Look at the activity. Look at that selling activity. Some people, there were buyers that had come into the market, but look at this, they're selling. And this is the area here at about 190. But I suspect we could come down. It's an area of demand here. There's also an area of demand here. So do not be surprised we see it come all the way to about 186. Don't be surprised. Nevertheless, I suspect that at the moment, I don't think we're going to get to 193. If you look at our volume momentum here, it's to the downside, so I'm not quite sure. I did do one perp trade on Solana, which was quite successful, but in recent, which is a few days ago, I think I took that trade on the 10th, on the 10th, and sold on the 14th. Time will tell. I mean, if you could get some Ethereum at about 180, let's say as low as about 181, 182, that would be a very good buy if you can. That's if it falls, but I won't be surprised if it does fall to those levels. Okay, let's go to Sui. Let's see. And there we have Sui on the day. Nothing particularly exciting here. Look at that. There's been selling volume, follow through, but not that much. They're not heavy. It's not like the others. Volume momentum to the downside, maybe even weakening. As you can see, it's weakening. Maybe that's why we're going to get that. We're going to have to look at this area here at about 282. And maybe around here, which is about 307. Now, if you can get some below 230, I think you're a very lucky man. I doubt if it's going to get there, but let's do this. Let's go and see if we can let's have a quick look, see if we can find something on Sui, which we can. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. There are two big areas here. This is about 100 times leverage, and then there are two here, which is at about 255, 254, 255. Maybe we get something coming down to about 250. That's going to be very good, a good buy for anybody who's stacking. Anything, as I said, anything under $3 is good, but if you can get it cheaper at about this area here at about 250, 249, 250, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I suspect that this price would come down to these two areas of leverage, leverage here that can be liquidated. You as a speculator, you've got your spot Sui. Remember, you kind of trade it as if you are taking a hedge, because you're actually taking a hedge. So when it's coming down, you're making money on the way down. So you're not going to cry too much about that. It's going to be interesting to see. This area here. There's a major area here at about 224. That's the point of control. So who knows? Let's wait and see. Let's see. That's two. Yeah, there's not much going on down here. So I suspect it might get to about this area here. before it has a reason to go back up. And maybe there'll be more areas that would need liquidating by the market makers. Let's just wait and see what happens there. Okay. Right, so we're going to move over to Moodeng, our meme coin areas. As you always know, I always do it. I continue to honor some of my friends who have Moodeng positions. Let's get the smart money concepts on there. And look at those areas. There's area of supply, area of supply, area of supply. Almost no areas of demand at all, which is kind of surprising if you ask me. Let's do this. Let me do something. I don't know why that has disappeared, but let me do this. And let me make some changes. Good. So I've got my volume on there. Very little volume going on. Let's look at the lower time frames at about 15 minutes. As we can see, no real follow through here. Nothing much happening at all. Look at that very low volume. Again, like I said before, we do have the danger of falling. Let's go back to the daily. And let's just hide this one. Let's make it less crowded. There we go. Here, as you can see, was the 10th of October, and not much. It's gone back up and then more or less trading sideways and to the downside. I think the first port of call will be to about 12 cents 50, and then towards the point of control at about 14 cents 84 before areas of resistance. And now, speculators, another opportunity for you to break these two areas here and to see what happened. If you have been holding for quite a while, you're just going to have to be very patient. Or what you do is, like I've said before, you try to trade the you try to take a sort of hedge. Let's see if we can see something on Moodeng here. Let's see levels of liquidation. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see there's this major area here, and I think to some lesser extent this area here. So don't be surprised if you see Moodeng coming back all the way back to about just over 10 cents. Do not be surprised. I don't think there's much liquidity there, but this is a major one here at about 10 cents 95. So do not be surprised. It comes back to this area here. It's taking out that area there and some of the lesser areas, including this area here. And that's even earlier today. So do not be surprised if you see it coming back to this area. So you could, in effect, hedge your bets to the downside and make some profits for yourself. Who knows? Maybe if you play the game right, you might be able to just hedge your entire position carefully, make your profits, and then come out of the markets after you've made enough money for yourself, and come out of the markets to save yourself the pain of continuously looking at it. Like I said, you could expect it falls. I mean, look at that point of control. So I'm not expecting it to go below about 10 cents. As I said, that's about 10 cents there, roughly. So I think a buy at 10, as a speculator, a buy at 10 cents would be a very good opportunity for you. Okay, with big time sale here, but there's no follow through. Well, there was a follow through with the price, but it's come back, and then there's been a little bit of very follow through. Not much strength in volume momentum, as we can see there, to the downside, but it seems to be weakening. Let's have a look at the and there we have it. Okay, just a very thin area of demand here, as we can see. That's about 37 cents. Most of the other areas are areas of supply. We've got some quite, and remember what I told you about the orange as well as the green lines. These are areas of resistance and support, and we built up an area of resistance here at about 61 cents 40. If you are fortunate enough to get something at about 40 cents for WIF, that should be really good. Let's see if we can look at WIF. If we can see anything on WIF. Oh yes, we can. Let's just have a look and see. It gives us a rough idea what could happen. Oh, very interesting. Now we have two. We have one, that area there. 2, 3. All areas of 100%, 100 times liquidation. These are probably going to be the shorts to be liquidated, and then we've got this area here, here, and here. Do not be surprised, even down here. Do not be surprised that the price of WIF comes all the way down to about 51 cents, and we're quite close. If these are areas of support, although weak areas of support, this thick line is a most strong area of support. So yeah, don't be surprised it comes all the way down to about 51 cents. It might be a buying opportunity for speculators to sell at about this area here at about 76 cents at the value area low here, so that would be an opportunity. If you're a long-term holder, you're just going to have to be patient to see what happens over time. Again, as I said, look at our volume momentum is quite low, it's even weakening, but we shall see. That may mean that it could, if it's weakening to that point, we may find ourselves coming all the way down. That may be just faster. That might be, I come here to about 52 cents 60, 52 cents 30, 52 cents 15. So yeah, 52 cents might be the area of, as I said, but 51, I suspect 51 cents. And then maybe go back up to about 54 cents. Time will tell. We don't know, but only time will tell. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't fall any lower, because if it falls below 51 cents, that's going to be a very good buy. Anything between 49 and about 51 might be a very good buying opportunity for the speculators when it comes to WIF. Remember what I've said. In order for you to trade effectively, you're going to have to look at what the market makers are doing and trade accordingly. Don't overplay your hand, particularly on the perps market, and for heaven's sake, please don't take too large a bit of leverage. When you start taking 25, 50, 100 times leverage, the market makers will hunt you down, particularly if it's kind of big leverage. And remember, when you do that and you copy others, you're only going to get yourself knocked out of the market. So be very careful when you do that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have had the dramatic events of the 10th of October were quite fascinating. And like I said to some people at the time, there were opportunities. Yours truly can honestly say I took advantage of the opportunity like others did. Which is why you have to be vigilant on the markets. And like I've always told you, set your alerts. If you're interested in something, anything can happen at any time, have your alerts set so that you're alerted immediately. And then you can take advantage of whatever the market puts in front of you. I suspect that a lot of the bigs have accumulated. And in the not too distant future, we're going to see a major fire up of the markets, where the markets are going to go back to the upside. I suspect that is what is going to happen. I don't think we're going to see any major disasters, because like I said, on October 10th was more or less like a flash crash. Rather than something, because look, I don't think, there are those, like there are channels, I'm sure you've seen some of the Twitter channels, or X channels, I beg your pardon, that have talked about the manipulation of the markets. I think that we should spend more time looking at that rather than the overall narrative of, Trump opens his mouth and something happens. Now, I'm not saying that Trump opening his mouth wouldn't create its own problems, but there has been a lot of shenanigans, and there have been people really complaining. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put a video together, and I'm going to compile some of the guys out there who have been really pushing that narrative. And these guys are pretty knowledgeable. They're guys, experienced guys. They're not guys who have just turned up yesterday. These are experienced guys who've traded on the markets, who know the products, who know the market makers, who know the traders. I mean, these guys really know. So I think I should compile something, and we should have a closer look at that. I think that's something I should do in the not too distant future. Anyway, I think that's just about all I have for you this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes and ears open and your trading sharp. Have a good one.